Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the October meeting. I wanted to let you know that we have two more meetings this year, November 2nd and December 7th. Originally, we were planning to skip December's meeting, but usually because the holiday stroll falls roughly the same time and it's just usually too hectic. But this year the stroll is the first. So this is the following week and it made sense to have the meeting. We'll probably use January's meeting as a board meeting. So we won't have a full member meeting. But if anyone has any suggestions, I think this is sort of also a working meeting. We encourage comment and we have a lot to talk about. So if you have a question, just feel free to jump in. Let's talk about borough business. The comfort stations are at the top of the list. And I don't know if everyone attended the meeting at La Grua, which was very interesting. Julia gave an incredible presentation on the comfort station designs and the thought behind it and the process. And we netted out with a new committee and Karen is on that committee. So I have asked Karen to give us a quick little update on where they are with that. Karen?
Hi, everybody. Lucky me. Yeah, I wanted to support the 2 years of effort that have obviously been put into this project. And as a newbie to the Merchant Association, wanted to support all of you because I know you're all in desperate need of a public bathroom. So I am on the committee with 11 other folks, and Annette is also on the committee, as is Julia, but I guess you're considered ex officio, so which means I can't vote, but their input is important. So what we've decided on the first meeting is to literally identify all the locations where a bathroom could potentially be, even if we know it'll never happen there, like the lighthouse or the lighthouse, La Grua Park, like just literally across the gamut, and documenting every single step. I feel like this is all the work that's already been done and we're repeating the efforts, but somehow things weren't documented and sufficiently. So that's what we're doing this time around. And Julia, jump in if I'm missing anything, but
no, you're totally right.
What we're doing this time around is duplicative work, but we're documenting it. We created an analysis spreadsheet where we've created criteria that we're assessing each location with, so that it's all documented if we as the committee decide to say no to a location.
Yeah.
So the first time around, we literally, I think it was a list of like 20 locations. We divided into teams. We assessed each of these locations. In the last meeting, which was the second one, we reviewed all of them. We were all tasked with, is this a viable location? Yes or no? 3 advantages, 3 disadvantages. So now these lists exist, the no's exist, and the yeses exist for the viable locations. And this meeting, which is the next meeting, which is tonight, we're literally going to go through all the yeses and do further analysis on all the yeses. The likelihood of there only being one, let me say the other way, there is a high likelihood that there will be more than one location. So, and it may be an existing one
being built.
No, as in there could be one, like the bodega is interested in potentially sharing their bathroom. So maybe there's a bathroom there, or there's a bathroom at the firehouse, but there's only a single bathroom. Or there's the upgraded porta potty at the playground or at Borough Hall. So there's a high likelihood that it won't be a construction of 2 new bathrooms. It'll probably be a compilation of at least 2 bathrooms, maybe more, I don't know. But obviously one of them will at least need to be wheelchair compliant. So that's obviously also of importance. So I think those are the highlights.
Great.
Any questions about that? We have, we're aiming to get this done by the November meeting, which is aggressive, but I think it's doable.
Our
task
Gordon
force
and Burgess meeting in November, is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sorry. Yep, exactly. It's an aggressive timeline, and I know there's been some public despair about that timing, but the task force is really engaged. They're really all, we talk about being unbiased, so everyone is sort of open and trying not to bring any biases, even if some people live near a location that they're not that excited about, they realize they can't be biased because of that. So I do feel like I feel really good about the task team. And I was a bit nervous in the beginning, but everyone's bringing great energy and everybody wants to get it done. So that's the highlight, is that we are going to find the merchants a public bathroom. I just don't know where yet.
Well, that's a positive update.
Yay.
Okay, great. Oh, Carolyn, did you raise your hand?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I just checked in.
Oh, welcome.
Mhm.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, and we've talked about this in other meetings, of course, business viability in the borough and empty storefronts. We are losing Bluebird Day. There are a couple of things happening with some of the storefronts, but at one of the Burgess's meetings, on the agenda was potentially having a liaison to the SBMA for business viability as an initiative. And then in addition, we also have the Stonington Economic Development Council that is actively working to bring businesses to Stonington. And again, Karen reached out to Kevin Rogers to see if that was something that was actually happening and how we could facilitate that communication between the Burgesses and or the EDC. It's definitely something that's very appealing. Karen, did you want to speak to that, or should I just keep going?
Sure. No, sure. So I left the board of Warden and Burgesses in 2020. And it looks like there was a survey done under Jeff Callahan in 2021, the Stonington Borough Survey, which I wasn't part of. But I got my hands on the survey recently. And I don't know how many of you have seen it, but there were various questions on it. And one of them was the viability of Stonington Borough, business viability, which obviously I am now very interested in to support all of you.
It is posted in the member section of the website, by the way.
Okay. And the result that I took note of was that the action item, there was an action item within 2 years of business viability, assign a Burgess as a liaison to the Merchants Association. And it has Kevin in parentheses and the SVIA with Sean, which I know already happened because Sean is or was on the board of the SVIA. So I just thought that was of interest, and I highlighted it to Deb and to Sandy, and followed up with Kevin on it. And I just guess I wanted to get everybody's thoughts on it, if this is something we want to pursue, if we find there would be a value add in having the board engaged or involved, or maybe joining a meeting. Yeah, it was more of I wanted to raise it so we could brainstorm about whether this would be of interest and if we could see them helping us in our efforts to keep the business district viable and functioning, and the storefronts full and all of that good stuff. So that's why I wanted to raise it first, to get your guys' thoughts on it, and then I'm happy to reach out to Kevin with our ideas on how we could potentially work together. Does anybody think it's a great idea, bad idea?
I have a quick question. And then there's Kevin. So would Kevin Rogers be a liaison then to the EDC, which is Kevin Bowdler, and Ann's gone away. So I wanted to ask her because her husband is the head of EDC. So I'm not sure with the chain of command of how that would work.
I can't speak to EDC. Does it have to be the same person, or could it be two different?
I'm just wondering,
people?
so Kevin Rogers could then go to the EDC and discuss that. I maybe I'm missing
Maybe
something
it's two
there.
different things.
It is two different things, but I'm just wondering because EDC is the sort of the bigger scope of it, and with Sue Cullen and with some other, I wonder if that's something that would work on one level, and then, but I think it should go through the Warden and Burgesses first, obviously, and then to go to the next level, because I think it's more pinpointing who could actually go out and seek. I'm a little, we can all do it word of mouth, but I'm just not sure if there's a bigger branch that could help too. Again, I don't know. I'm just sort of, because we can all ask people and I just don't know how one goes out advertising for businesses.
Yeah,
Does that
I
make
think
sense?
we've talked about doing years ago, we talked about creating sort of a subcommittee for potential solicitation of businesses to the borough. I think there are many spokes to that wheel. There's reaching out to landlords when there's an empty space. There is word of mouth. If you know of someone who's looking for a business, it's somehow connecting the borough with people who are interested in having businesses. I think that is one thing. And then, yes, this partnership with the Burgesses to make sure that there are mechanisms in place that are business friendly. So is that a zoning thing? Maybe that's not the Burgesses, maybe that's the town of Stonington. I know that there have been businesses who have been up against some limitations, if you will, from the town, and it's not always so business friendly. So is that something that we could work with the Burgesses to make things easier for businesses to run in the borough? I think it will take a couple of people coming together to identify some of those things. And in addition, it's also having a presence with the EDC to say, we really do want to have a business district and we want to fill some of these empty spaces. How can we make sure that we're on their radar in order to do that?
I think if I may jump in, something that happens more on like the town level is, I know that several of the selectmen have gone after much larger businesses like Zachary and other places in the past administrations, and they actively seek, again, small time, we're small potatoes, but I think as the more I see this, the more I think the borough gets a little bit neglected. And so I'm wondering if that's a bigger conversation too, with people who have access and resources to see, working at maybe not quite at that level, but there should be a conversation started within that. Just a thought I've noticed along the way.
But I think to Deb's point is that we're actually looking for retailers. We're not looking for just businesses. So we don't want an office on Water Street because we have enough offices. And that really doesn't attract people, doesn't attract footfall at all. So I think that's what we need to consider is what we're looking for as well. I can ask the head of the EDC what his thoughts are and report back. Or if he has a suggestion as to how we can maybe get in touch with Susan Cullen. I mean, they've got a lot of stuff going on. So obviously they're concerned about Stonington Borough as well, because it's within their territory, but I don't have an answer right.
So what would be the best way to figure out what we need in the borough? Is that a survey among the SBMA members? I mean, there was a short list in that resident survey, and 2 of the 5 things were already put in. So the ice cream shop and liquor store. So what are we missing that we want? What's the best way to figure that out?
Maybe a conversation with Susan Cullen and then find out what their parameters are. But I think actually Anne brought up a good point, is that it's one thing to, throw spaghetti against the wall, but if we're more directed about what we're asking for, that may be a very good point. Versus just saying, hey, come one, come all. And that could be, you're right, we could get offices, we could get something that we don't necessarily want, because our rents aren't ridiculously crazy, but it's also there at this certain times a year, there's not a lot going on. So I don't know who and how that would work with the normal business world.
Okay, Andrew's got his hand up. Andrew?
Good morning, everybody. One of my questions may be, do we know or have some information that we would provide a potential merchant to say, this is what the borough has, so they have a realistic, as far as street counts or head populations, so they can structure a business correctly for the spaces to give them, some level of viability. We seem to have a large amount of turnover where people have faith in the, shopping district and community, but after a year or two go, oh dear, I can't do this.
We don't at the moment. I mean, we don't have numbers. We don't have foot traffic analysis. We don't have anything like that.
I think the EDC might have something in a smaller range, so I can put that on my list of questions.
In a similar vein, though, I am part of the cultural commission that was just developed. I'm an alternate, and they have amassed an inventory of all of the assets in the borough. The borough will, they still have to be classified as a cultural district. So there are still some hoops that we have to jump through to get there, but the plan is to do Mystic as an event-based cultural district, and Stonington Borough as a historic and arts cultural district. So businesses, artists, and museums and things like that. So that, I think, could be part of whatever info we provide new businesses to show how well-rounded the borough is. Just a thought.
I was just gonna add, this is more anecdotal, but I think it does speak to this idea. Just yesterday, I ran into a restaurateur I've worked with before, and he said, Julia, are there any spaces in the borough that are becoming available soon? I'd really love to have an establishment in the borough. And I said, oh, I don't know. I have a meeting with the SBMA tomorrow morning. I'll mention it. But I think, I guess that points to the fact that there isn't someone he can talk to find out this information. He was like, oh, that's the architect I've worked with. Let me ask her. But if there was something more formalized, like interested in working in the borough, this is who we are. These are the types of spaces that we have and that we're looking for. So
I know Bluebird Day is opening up.
right. I don't know. And I guess this is more granular, but I don't know if there are sort of limits zoning wise to what can be retail versus what can be a restaurant. I'm sure there are, but I, haven't ever looked into that. But that also would be useful to be able to provide to potential.
I know on the EDC website, they used to have a section under real estate where you could click on commercial properties for rent. They did away with that. I don't know what happened to it, but there were often borough properties on that website. And I've pointed people to that because requests do come into the SBMA's email account. And I try to point people in the right direction, but yeah, maybe there is a section that goes on our website.
Excuse me, Stella.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add to this conversation?
I just want to know what Carolyn's cat's name is.
Stella.
Okay, thanks.
And Stella has a comment. She's sticking her butt out at you. Not nice.
Okay, let's talk about, Uh-huh.
So
I was waiting to, I didn't want to interrupt Stella.
Okay.
On that note of like, how do we know what we need or whatever with businesses? Maybe if anybody who has a shop now, and we hear what our customers or lack of customer, like people we talk to who have stopped coming because, there's not much here anymore. Like what would the shoppers want? What, as retailers, what do we hear? Not so much what the people who live there want, because they just want more food and they want ease of living, but we want to draw people to come shopping. Like ladies, when Clad closed, that hurt. When Indigo Blue, the big gift shop, closed, I know that hurt. So like what am I trying to say? If maybe we can all just kind of think about it and bring it up again as far as, what do we think we need to fill out the shopping experience, I guess is what I'm saying. That's all. I don't know if that made sense, but.
No, that's a good point. I mean, that's the best information we could get. I'll start doing it.
The terrain would be nice.
so it feels like, if I may, that maybe a smaller task force on this matter does make sense to help with forward momentum and, literally identifying action items, follow-ups, like who's going to reach out to who do we need to meet with? Do we, the EDC is obviously a priority, do we want to meet with Kevin? But, and how do we get all this data that will help us find more merchants? It's just concrete action items that help all this move forward. And I'm happy to be on that task force, but it sounds like something that would be beneficial for all of us if we just focus in on next steps.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I just had a thought. I think we all know, real estate agents who work in Mystic and serve this whole area, and maybe we could kind of check in with them and let them know that we're trying to attract a certain types of business and see what their thoughts are. I'm sure they have clients who are looking for spaces, and I know. So maybe that's another avenue to explore, is connecting with the real estate brokers and who serve this region. And once we have a sense of what we're trying, exactly what we want, a kind of business we want to attract, we can kind of let them know to be on the lookout for that. And maybe another potential approach. Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't. I think I agree. We probably don't want. We want to have something that's. I think the other issue that keeps coming up, it's a little bit related to it, but is the hours and keeping the existing stores that are here to try to encourage them to be open a little more on regular basis throughout the week. And obviously I don't know way to regulate that or mandate it, but if we can think of a way to kind of make that something of a priority to businesses that come here.
Well, about a year and a half ago, I did a survey to the merchants.
Yeah.
And one of the questions was, if you own your building or if you're not open all of the time, would you consider sharing your space or subletting your space? And overwhelmingly, the answer was no. So I don't know how we overcome that. There's no way to demand people be open a certain time. I thought, maybe when I do the shopping, social media posts, maybe I just have to switch those to Saturday, because Saturday is usually a day when most people are open. I mean, we have to really think out of the box and just maybe, I don't want to promote it as just a Saturday destination, but we don't want to try to draw people here on a Wednesday and they show up and there's nothing open.
Right, right.
It's just,
And again, I am the biggest Debbie Downer in this because I feel like I've always been on that rant, and I think we can't change that. I think we have tried for about 1 million years now, and it's not going to happen. So I think I'm shifting my thought, and I don't know if you guys agree, but we just go after businesses that might, and again, we don't really, as long as it's posted hours, that's, and they stick to those posted hours, that's great. But just getting more businesses that might be more interested in staying open and kind of going, and then if more and more people are open, it's kind of like peer pressure, then gosh, I really should be open, or maybe I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know. But I think we have to shift our focus. I think our focus was on trying to get consistency, and I just don't think that's going to happen. It is unfortunately like herding cats. But I think we just go for businesses that are excited to be here and want to be open.
Right.
And that would just be my 2 cents.
okay.
Yep. Yes.
Organic pressure.
And Sandy, apologies, unless you need me on any other agenda items, Deb and I do have a client project we need to depart for.
That's okay. No, I think we covered it. We're just going to talk about the art walk, some upcoming events, and the Find the Buoy stuff. This is being recorded, so you can always watch the recording.
I will.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Quick question, sorry to interrupt. Is there a packet of information or understanding for potential merchants that says, okay, we have 900 square feet here for 2,000 a month, or whatever it may be. So we have an inventory from the building owners about what it is that they have available that they're trying to actively fill. So that way, if we're going to try to attract new merchants, making it as easy as possible on them to understand their options, as well as, what kind of, sales opportunities they have here in the borough. So you kind of look at, okay, what's the expense and what's the income, and you start to make those things easier. Might be a advantageous tool when they're deciding between Westerly, Mystic, the Village, the Borough, Watch Hill, anything along those lines.
Right. I think that I'm sure we could probably do an inventory of the spaces, but without reaching out to each individual landlord, we wouldn't get accurate numbers. And obviously that is a constantly moving target. So we would have to have someone who would be willing to be on top of that. But I think that would be a great tool. And that's what I was referring to when I was talking about the EDC's real estate section on their website. It was nice because you could see what commercial spaces were available. Okay. All right. Andrew, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I would just say that would then require the building owners to then stay on top of that and manage that, where a task force might have a higher ability to, distribute information maybe a little better. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think about it roundly, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. That's also something maybe we could talk to the EDC about. All right, let's talk about the art walk. I wanted to thank everyone who jumped in and helped. I had a great committee this year. Thank you, Julia, Maggie, and Deb, who left the call. Chelsea, of course. I think we had a really great day. I think even with the last minute pivot, which was quite painful at the last minute, but I think it wasn't like a huge loss. Sometimes when you make that change at the last minute, it could really devastate your event. But I think we had a nice turnout. I did a survey that I sent out to the artists. I received 29 responses, and 24 out of the 29 said that they had a highly profitable day. Higher end painters sold 3 to 5 pieces. One photographer sold 25 photos. Sally Vale said she sold every single piece that she put up. So I think overall the artists did really well. I had a few comments that the art walk has turned into a craft fair. I don't know about that. I think that it's a mix, and the first 2 years, this year including, I was just hoping to get all of the spots filled. And I think if I'm to move forward with this event, maybe at this point now we can be a little more discerning about who we approach or accept, because I already have people reaching out for next year. So I'm curious to know how the merchants did that day. Was everyone open? I know there aren't that many merchants on the call at this point. Tim?
We were open, yep. We had, the shop was open, and then we had the tent set up right outside. So it went very well. Yeah, we did good. Actually, we had, as many people came into the shop as visited the tent, and I think we maybe even sold more things out of the shop than from the tent. But it was very good to have both there. So it really was was a good day for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Maggie?
Yeah, I definitely had more traffic. Some sales, it was mostly people who were intrigued by all the crap I put out on the sidewalk to draw them back. But it was, it was more people finding out I'm there, so that was good, but definitely more traffic. I still probably would have been seen more if I put a booth on the street, because I struggle being where I am. So, but good to have it flow. It's great to have the energy. I had so many people saying that I put a speaker on the deck with music playing, lively, fun music, happy music. And a lot of people said, "Oh, your music drew me in." So that was kind of fun to have. Yeah.
We lost quite a few of our musicians because of the date change, and food. We lost most of our food. Carolyn, how about you?
I had a busy day. There were people, I opened at around 9 o'clock in the morning, and I stayed until 8 o'clock at night. So I had a long day. The people who came at the end of the day had no idea that they missed an art show, and they were sad. So they took the calendar for next year. But it was busy. I made a lot of sales, nothing big, but it was okay. It was good.
Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't really hear. I was actually, maybe wrongly so, but I was hoping merchants would reach out and just, give me some feedback, but I hadn't solicited. So thank you. I appreciate your comments. Okay, for upcoming borough events, we had talked about doing another holiday happy hour on November 16th. That's TBD, but it's on the calendar. We have Small Business Saturday and Find the Bowie holiday scavenger hunt. We talked about doing that. Definitely promoting Small Business Saturday. We're going to do the scavenger hunt again this year. If you want to be part of if you want to be a Bowie location, please let us know. Chelsea is chairing that event again this year, so she's going to be managing most of it. And we just ask that we either you post hours on your windows so people know when to come so that they can get their Bowie card stamped. Because there were comments that people couldn't get their cards stamped last year. So we had some merchants having to stamp multiple cards or multiple spots. The annual village stroll and borough glow is on December 1st. And I had invited Sally, oh gosh, I'm sorry. Sally
McBee,
yes.
she was on. think
She was on the
dropped off.
call and she left, but she had reached out because after the art walk, she was one of the artists in a tent for the art walk. And she said, oh, she's on the SBIA board and was wondering if we could do the art walk for the stroll. And I said, I don't think that that's gonna be feasible, just because there's the logistics involved are just too crazy, and it's too big of an event to do for a couple of hours on a night, especially, and then it's the heat and electricity, there's just too much involved. And she had talked about how we have all of these people coming in for the lobster trap tree, and then the tree lighting. It would be so great to capture some of those people and get them down Water Street. The problem is, if people are coming after 5 o'clock, there's no businesses that are open. So there's no point in driving people after a certain time unless they're going to the restaurants. I wanted to give her an opportunity to speak to that, but she's not on the call anymore. So maybe she'll reach out. But if anyone has any thoughts about that, please send us an email. Deck the Walls is happening November 30th, December 1st, and through the 3rd. So that's the Historical Society. Those are upcoming events. Marketing and branding. We have Millie Donovan here, who is with the Stonington Free Library, and she had a really great idea. We wanted to talk to you about it. So Millie, would you like to tell everyone your great idea?
Hi, it was great to see some faces that I've heard names kind of floating around, but I hadn't connected any faces. So thank you for letting me participate in this. So I recently started full-time job at Stonington Library. I was previously a library assistant, and now I'm working with Carla and Michaela to try to encourage people to use the library as a point of education and lectures and presentation. The library is really a public space that's available to everyone, and we enjoy having people in the community kind of share their expertise and experience with our patrons and the larger community. So with that being said, I thought it would be wonderful if in the winter months we could invite local business people to introduce themselves in our People in Your Neighborhood series. And the idea behind that is really to have folks share who they are, the history and connection with the town of Stonington, why they chose to open a business in the borough. And we can also extend this to the larger kind of Stonington area, like the Velvet Mill and such, but I wanted to concentrate a little bit on the borough to start with, and how they chose to be how they chose to be a small business owner. I think back to your comment about the Economic Development Committee focusing on the bigger businesses, that's one tier of our development here as a town, but then kind of the real meat and potatoes is our small business community, and how and why. I've always been intrigued as to how and why people chose that path, because it's a difficult path to choose to, for your livelihood, or it's a challenging one. So the goal really for me would be to invite community members to get to know the businesses and the business owners, because there's kind of this constant movement or change, especially down the borough. It's nice to once in a while, as I live in Stonington, as a community member, to kind of say, oh, I didn't realize the bodega was there. And I kind of look for these new little places, and I go in and I introduce myself and everything. But I don't think a lot of people have the opportunity to do that. So concentrating, it would be nice to hear the owner of the bodega tell us why they chose to open in the borough. And it's also, I think, for the other business members, an opportunity to network a little bit, to collaborate, to see what they might have in common. I know everyone's so busy that there might not be an opportunity, except for these meetings, to say, okay, if you're doing this, I'm doing this. So I think kind of tangentially, it's a little bit of a business after hours opportunity. So that's really kind of the outline that I have for it so far. The lecture really would be the ownership of that person putting the lecture on. So whatever they want to present, however they want to present it, the library would be there to support them in providing a space, a time, doing some promotion, maybe working with the SBMA to make sure that people understand that the series is that these are the dates for the series and these are the things that are happening. And we have the AV service. We have a projector and a screen and microphones. We can do live streaming and maintain those lectures up on our YouTube channel. But it's really just an opportunity to really get to know who and what is going on down in the borough. So the times that we usually do lectures are the second Sunday of every month and the third Thursday of every month. So it's like our Sunday series and our Thoughtful Thursdays. We normally take a holiday break. Actually, this Sunday is our last official series, which is poetry by Henri Cole. It's a poetry reading. So we normally take a break November, December, and start back again in January. So the first date that would be available would be January 13th, which is a Sunday, or January 18th, which is Thursday. So those are the two first dates that are available coming up. And then after that, they're just kind of monthly. It's kind of a at first, not first come, first serve, but we would try to fit you in among other lecture series that have already been kind of earmarked in our books. So that's it. It's short and sweet and pretty simple. And it's just basically a space for you guys that we invite you guys to participate in. And I think we'd love to host it if people are interested. Any
Sounds like a
questions?
Great opportunity.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions?
I don't have a question. I have a thought, which first of all, I think it's a really wonderful idea. I think part of what makes living in the borough and working in the borough so wonderful is that it is a small community and we all do know one another. But I think this series, I think would only foster that and help. I could imagine like a child sitting in on the lecture and think, oh, that's the lady I see walking her dog. I had no idea that she's doing what she does. But also if the lectures are videotaped, then I was thinking, Sandy, for some of your Instagram posts, it could be really wonderful if you have like a sound bite from any one of the merchants saying what they love about what they do, or like a funny anecdote. That could be a really great video on Instagram, and it does personalize the business. And
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really good idea.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's a good idea.
It's so
yeah.
funny that you even mentioned that, because my husband a while back, he's like, did you know that when Julia Roberts was interviewed after Mystic Pizza on David Letterman, he asked her if she was in the borough? And I watched it last night and I thought, I'm going to pull that sound bite and use it.
A good idea. Yeah.
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 So yeah, I think it's a great idea. Thanks, Julia.
So the next steps really just would be for you folks to, I can send you my notes, Sandy, and just kind of as an overview, but for you guys to decide if it is indeed something that you would like to do or offer to your members, and we can start scheduling them.
Great.
All right.
Thank you. I think it's a great idea.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
I think it's a great idea too.
Thanks. I look forward to it. So anything that I can do, just I'll include my email in the information that I send over to Sandy, and then she can share it however she wants.
I just thought of one other thing, which is I wonder if the Historical Society would even be interested in partnering, because I'm thinking of like Roberto Freitas or Carolyn, I don't know how long other businesses have been on Water Street, but there's certain businesses that have been, they really, like Tom's, I mean, which was Frankie Keene's before, there are certain businesses that actually are a record of the history of the borough, and others that aren't, but I think there might be a way to make it actually almost you know, a catalog or a document of how some businesses have sustained themselves over time and how others have not. And actually the cultural history of the borough as well.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
nice.
to answer that question in one form or another, I've been in that building since 1985.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like that's amazing. And I think Roberto is probably not as long, but close, Roberto Freitas. So I don't know. I think it's an incredible idea. And if we think about it more, it probably has tentacles that would make it even more impactful for the community at large.
I will say that I will say that a lot of the lectures that fare well and are well attended at the library usually have something to do with nostalgia. So looking back to things that once were and are now something different might be a really interesting route to take. You know, it's kind of nice to say, I think you said you were an architect. So it's kind of nice to see this is the progression, or this is the, you know, the style of the buildings. This is when they were built, this is what they were originally built for, and this is what they've become. I think that transition would be very interesting to a lot of the folks that tend to frequent these lectures.
That's
So,
a really interesting idea. And that could potentially be a collaboration with the Historical Society in particular.
right.
Yeah.
So it could be pretty good. Now, the challenge that we have in general with any of these lectures is just getting people in the door. Sometimes they do phenomenal, but it's all a hearsay, because as much information as I put out on social media and the like, some of our patrons aren't necessarily on social media. And sometimes the papers don't pick things up. So I think going forward for me, the challenge will be getting this information in the right hands and promoted by the right people. So I rely a lot on the lecturer to share that information with friends and family. And it really becomes a word of mouth kind of thing, which sometimes is the best way to advertise things. But as much as we do on social media, we only get so far because our patrons tend to be more analog than digital, if that makes any sense.
We have the same demographics.
Okay, so there you go.
We're trying to reach the same people.
Yeah. So you have more experience probably than I, you know, I'm coming into this kind of like sideways. So
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
you're welcome. Let me know and I'll send you that information.
Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about planning for 2024. Usually around January, I look at our budget and start to look at how we're going to spend some of our marketing dollars. Typically, we take in approximately $10,000 a year, which in membership, which, you know, when you look at advertising, website, social media, my time, it goes pretty quickly. So I want to show you just, hold on a second. I want to pull up this document. You're going to see my whole desktop, so try to just focus on this part here. So what I usually try to do is just allocate half of what we bring in for annual marketing. And the website costs about $300 a year for hosting. And we spend about $2,000 a year on advertising, which could be digital, print, radio. This is the art walk is completely different because that event is 100% funded by incoming funds. So this is just, you know, for Stroll, for other events that we have hosted throughout the borough. Public relations, I don't really have a cost associated with that because usually if we have an event, we just send out a press release. Social media, of course, we use that because it's the least expensive form of communication. I have been doing a lot more Facebook work than I was before. I was doing a lot of Instagram, but a lot of our visitors, a lot of the local people who come to the borough, they're on Facebook. So we're going to continue to use that medium. We spend about $250 a year on the Ocean Chambers membership, and we do get a lot out of that. I also wanted to add that I just noticed in their weekly newsletter that they are also doing a video series. So if you're interested, if you're a chamber member and you are interested in having a video done of your business, they will come out and do that as part of your membership. So you might want to talk to Lisa Kanicki about that. We also do content marketing. So we'll do, a blog post every month and an associated e-blast. If there are events that are happening in the borough, we promote those. Those are special events, seasonal events, sales events. And then we spend about $2,450 a year on print collateral. And that's the save the date postcards, the walking maps, and then any posters or banners that we do. So as you can see, $5,000 is not very much. And I think we do the best we can with what we bring in. So that is that. Just to quickly go over some of the events that I also help to promote as part of our platform. The Borough in Bloom, I use that as a marketing media message. We promote the Stonington Free Library's Mystery Dinner and their monthly events. We promote La Grua concert and events, the Historical Society's parade and ice cream social and all the events that they host. We share all of those, music at the Lighthouse, the Blessing of the Fleet, the Village Fair, the Art Walk, the Halloween Parade is coming up, La Grua's annual holiday craft fair, Small Business Saturday, and Find the Buoy holiday scavenger hunt is a big, we really try to push Small Business Saturday, the Lobster Trap Tree lighting, and the Village Stroll and Deck the Walls. So if you also want to help promote some of the events to bring traffic to your businesses, all of this is out there on social media. It's just a matter of sharing it. Most of these events already have creative associated with them, and you don't have to create anything additional. All you have to do is share it on Facebook, and it's a reason to get people to the borough. I know that it doesn't feel like there's a lot happening during the course of a year, but there are events that draw people to the borough that you could capitalize on. So I just wanted to call those out because sometimes people forget that all these things are going on and you can use it as a reason to get people into your shop. I almost hesitated sharing this last screen because it's a little sobering for me. I just wanted to let everyone know what I do and how much I do it for. So on my monthly retainer with the Merchants Association, I handle the website, the maintenance, and any minor edits. I update the homepage image every 4 to 6 weeks or seasonally. I do 1 blog post per month with an e-blast. I do all the social media, so Instagram, Facebook, and then I go once or twice a month and I scan all of the cultural assets, so Historical Society, La Grua, and I add all of those events to Facebook. If I see other people's events, like if I saw Ship Shape Shop was having a sale, I will share that as well, but I don't actively go to your Facebook page to share that. I do that with Instagram. I share everything on Instagram. I also do all the member communications, meeting preps, and the agendas. I post everything to the member login section of the website, and I maintain MailChimp and email. So at an approximate cost of $6,000 a year. So I just wanted you to understand how much is accomplished for very little money. And if you go to the member login section of the website, there are a lot of resources there for you. There's the member survey that I did in 2022. There are previous, so this is a little outdated, but the marketing mix and how we spend our money, that resident survey results survey that Karen referenced, that's here. Back in 2021, Emily did some Instagram tutorials, and then I did a marketing workshop back in 2020, which is probably outdated as well. That could use a refresh. I started adding in all of the rate cards for our digital and print advertising locally, so that's there. And then all of our agendas, our minutes, and then I have been posting creative that you can download and share as well. All of the visuals for the banner graphics are there. You click there and you can download all of those files. So those are available to you. And then this is from last year. I haven't updated this yet, but this will be updated soon. This is for shop, Small Business Saturday, the Find the Buoy holiday scavenger hunt, and then the lobster trap treat and the stroll. So this is really a hub for all of SBMA communications, and I hope that you take advantage of it. It's a good resource. Moving forward, I just posted the Art Walk wrap up and photo gallery as the September blog post. And then October, I'm working on a food and drink post. November, I'm going to do a Houses We Love, which is real estate. And then December will be a merchant spotlight, probably a gift guide. As I look forward to 2024, I really want to work more efficiently and smarter. And I want to make sure that I'm delivering marketing that really helps the merchants. That's the whole point. So I'm starting to contemplate whether to even continue doing those blog posts. I mean, the whole reason is to drive people to the website. But maybe instead of doing blog posts, which tend to be very time intensive, maybe it's more about social media reels. So maybe it's a reel, or maybe it's those sound bites. Maybe it's more video type things that I could post as an editorial, but doesn't feel like an article. So that's one thing I'm contemplating. We're also planning to do a 2024 save the date postcard. The walking map will be reprinted. We have a lot of updates to make to that, so that will be happening. And I'll also be looking at the advertising, the print and digital mix. I'm contemplating doing less print advertising. I mean, just for the Art Walk alone, I probably spent $3,000 in print advertising. I think we spend more of that on boosting on Instagram and Facebook. I think it goes a lot farther, and we can see the results of the ads. I mean, just to show you again quickly, here's the Art Walk. It's kind of small, but we reached 19,732 people with the some of the advertising I did for the Art Walk. We had 1,000 post engagements, and we had 794 event responses. Like, that's people clicking saying, I'm interested in this event, I'm coming to this event. So, and I spent on digital, I probably spent 300 total, 400 total. So I think the return is pretty good on digital advertising. If anyone wants to talk through that a little bit more and they're interested in trying to figure out a better way to advertise their business or market their business, I'm happy to share the analytics with you if you're interested. So that's what I have for this meeting. Look at that, 1 hour, amazing. We had a lot to go over. Does anyone have any questions?
Sandy, what is the walking map, or where would I find that?
So the walking map, so let me just quickly share my screen again. So Deb keeps a stack of these in her store, but if you go to the website and you go to walking map right here under about,
Yep.
So this is the walking map.
Okay.
And it basically is a map. It also is a walking tour. So the Historical Society updates this for us.
Mhm.
And it's a walking tour of all the, points of interest. And then merchant members are specifically called out on the map if they have a brick and mortar and included on the other side. And here is so I'm going to stop sharing this and you can see. So here it is. And the way it folds is here's the cover. And when you open it, you can see all the businesses. I've already started figuring out who needs to, what needs to be edited, but I think it's a really good tool. And do you have any copies in your shop?
No, we don't. And
I would stop into Grandin Water. Deb has a stack of them.
okay.
And we'll
We have some at the library as well.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a very popular piece. People
Yeah,
come in
yeah.
specifically
Oh, yeah.
for a walking map at the library. So
Right.
Yeah, and
No,
it
it'll
just
be a good thing to
it points out not just where La Grua is and where where the parks are, where the beach is, the lighthouse. I
Mhm.
mean, it's a great tool to share with your visitors if they're not familiar with the borough, and it lists all the merchants and little blurbs about them. So Ship Shape Shop will go on this map this year.
Okay, great. No, that's good to know. Yeah. Something
Okay.
to hand out. People like to have.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
I have a comment.
Yes, Sandy.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Ann.
Oh, go ahead, Meg.
First of all, always a great job, Sandy, and we know we get way more than we pay for. I had a thought. First of all, the walking maps are such a great talking point with people who come in who are new to the borough or only just come to the restaurant. It's really good to keep them coming back to see all the other stuff. That I have found that. So just on that. But I also, the big posters you made for the art walk, the big maps, the hard ones that were posted around.
Uh-huh.
This is just for future, but I wonder if there is a way to have something like that is, I don't know, mounted on the side of one or two buildings. Just something to think about for future, maybe next summer or something, because it just really shows, people want to know what else there is to do here besides the 2 blocks that they see after they park. That's all. And also the lobster trap tree lighting, that small business Saturday, and the comments in the very beginning of the meeting about doing something that night, an art walk. Isn't Annette having her holiday market in the back of her place? I think that's going on, but maybe we could all commit to, being open late that night and promote just that feature. And maybe some people want to have some pop-ups or something, but that's all.
That's a good idea. Okay.
Maggie, let me just mention one thing that's related to what you were just saying. For the comfort station, wherever it ends up, I think one of the ideas was to make sure that it did more than just provided a public restroom facility, but it also provided wayfinding and any kind of merchant information or cultural organization. So I think we should, Laura and I are both on the committee, so or Karen and I are both on the committee, as is Annette, but I think we need to remember that the merchants want more than just a bathroom out of the comfort station. You also want to make sure, I think it would be, we talked about it on the committee originally, creating some sort of a billboard or even a sculpture that sort of helps people with wayfinding through the borough. So absolutely.
Yeah, I love that idea, Maggie. That's a great idea. And I did notice a lot of people looking at those maps during the art walk. I was actually a little surprised because I thought they'd be useful, but I just was shocked at how many people were looking at them.
And it was a very, very interesting visual as well. So it just drew people's attention, I think.
Were you going to say something else, Maggie?
No.
Okay.
And I don't know how to go about getting any kind of commitment for people to be open that Saturday night of the lobster tree lighting.
Small
To
Business Saturday.
we would need some sort of commitment if we're going to advertise it, obviously, if it's going to get promoted, you know, open late pop-ups. And maybe that's too much. Maybe merchants can't deal with all day and all night, not all night, till
Yeah.
8.
Well, I've been open for the last 2 years, those nights. And there are a few people that come in on their way to dinner. It's not too busy because there's so much activity down at the docks that they really want to stay there. But I'm planning to stay open again anyway, so
Yeah.
I'd welcome other people doing it.
And if it was promoted that, you know, come back up here, you know,
Right.
after you gaze at the tree and yell hooray.
Yeah, one of the reasons Sally McBee wanted to be on the call was because she wanted to do some sort of Christmas market down at the tree. And I spoke to Lisa Kanicki about that, and she said, you know, absolutely not. She said, if there are merchants who have lobster trap tree related merchandise, original artwork, or things related to the tree, that's one thing. And you can have a tent and it's free. She's not going to charge you for that, but they don't want to do any additional food or any additional activity because she is navigating a delicate balance with all of the people who live down there. They don't want this to become a massive, you know, thing. They're even they're turning off the lights, I think at 9 or 9:30 this year, because she doesn't want to upset any of the people who live down there who have this, like, you know, lit tree in their windows. So Sally had originally said she wanted to do some kind of market or something. So, but I don't think it's out of the question to maybe have, you know, some kind of sandwich board or some kind of thing that draws people, if we're going to do a night event, to drive people from the tree down to Water Street. You know, lawn signs or something like that could potentially be done.
I
Yep.
know this is not my place because I usually don't participate in this, but a while back when I had a business gallery down in the Westerly area. I did this thing with the Downtown Business Association called Art in the Heart, and it was in conjunction with the Virtu Art Festival. And the reason being exactly what you're talking about is that Virtu takes all the traffic into Wilcox Park, and there was very little traffic in the center of town. So what we did was we collaborated with artists to put their pieces in the windows of the businesses to draw people to extend the art viewing, or to extend that into the business area. I don't know if something like that in the future could be useful for an event that takes things away from Main Street, but in conjunction with that event, to have that piece of real estate in your front window dedicated to, whether it's an artist, something that's not related to your business, obviously, but to have that and market that as in conjunction with it worked very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Lisa was actually helpful with that. There's articles and videos about it and stuff like that. So
that's initially why we did the Find the Buoy holiday scavenger hunt.
Right,
It was a tie-in to the tree, but it was getting people into the shops.
Right.
You know, there's mixed reviews on how great that is, because, you know, some people just send their kids in to get the stamp.
Yeah.
But then some people do come in and they think, oh, I've never been in this shop before.
Right.
Gives them a reason to come in. So
anyway,
yeah, no, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, well, let's call this a meeting. Thank you all for joining us. And I hope to see you next month.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sandy.
Bye.